Tonight, the Trump White House is under siege, facing a storm of investigations and a potential economic slowdown. Now Trump's struggling to find a chief of staff to replace John Kelly, his first pick. Nick Ayers declining the offer. Other names being floated, likely a reality TV contest from Chris Christie to Yankees president Randy Levine. As for John Kelly, he's already turned into a Saturday Night Live punchline. Watch this.
President Trump announced today that John Kelly, his chief of staff, is leaving the position at the end of the year because Kelly requires extensive surgery to remove his palm from his face. That's how awful it is to work in the Trump White House, by the way. John Kelly spent 40 years in the Marines. He did 3 tours in Iraq, and he couldn't finish 1 tour with Donald Trump.
With me now, Mara Gay, editorial board member for the New York Times, and Jason Johnson, politics editor at TheRoot.com. Mara, I saw you laughing there, watching that SNL skit. Does it resonate with you?
Well, you laugh or you cry, right? About the state of democracy. I mean, who would want to work for Donald Trump's White House at this moment? Either you're a true believer and you can see that this is a tough time to be there. He's going down in flames, essentially. The walls are closing in on these investigations. He lost the midterm elections, his party did, and he doesn't listen to any of his advisors from everything that we can tell. There's high turnover. Or you are a principled Republican who's horrified at what's been going on, and from policy to personnel at the White House, you want nothing to do with it. And so I think you have a president who's working with a very small pool of talent who's willing to work with him and for him. I mean, some will say that they are people of conscience who think they can make things better in an otherwise chaotic and immoral White House. Mm-hmm. So there's that group of people. And then there are just people who really, truly want nothing to do with it. And, during the campaign, it was very similar. There were a lot of top-notch Republican consultants who steered clear of this campaign, and Steve Schmidt would be one. And, still want nothing to do with it. Exactly.
Right. Jason, it seems as if there's a tweet that is haunting Trump over this change of hands with the chief of staff. I feel like that's been said a lot in these last 2 years or so. And it's a tweet about former President Barack Obama. 3 chief of staffs in less than 3 years of being president. Part of the reason why Barack Obama can't manage to pass his agenda. And here we are. And we're on our 3rd chief of staff here with President Trump. And so hence the reason why we're bringing up that tweet. Why leave now? Why show Kelly the door now, Jason?
Well, because the orange jumpsuits are coming, and who wants to be in office when that's happening? Look, nobody wants to be the tour captain on a Titanic. Nobody wants to be Harvey Weinstein's lawyer. There are certain jobs you just don't really want because you know what's going to happen.
So you think it was Kelly's decision to leave? Because we don't necessarily know if it was Kelly's decision to leave or if it was Trump firing John Kelly.
Well, if there's one thing we saw with Omarosa and a lot of other people in this administration, that despite his reputation for saying you're fired on The Apprentice, Donald Trump doesn't like directly firing anybody. He's a bit of a coward. What he tends to like to do is what he did with his previous, head of the Department of Justice, Attorney General. He likes to bully people and make you miserable and make you quit on your own. So I don't think he actually fired John Kelly. But look, the issue that's being faced here is the new chief of staff isn't just responsible for trying to rein in the White House and control Donald Trump's behavior, which no one can do. It is also actually a campaign position at this point because we're heading into the 2020 election. So this new chief of staff really has a responsibility of honing Donald Trump's message. We joke all the time about Trump tweeting and how that messes up what Sarah Huckabee Sanders and other people have to do. But quite literally right now, that is going to be a part of the job that I don't think anybody is really prepared for.
Mara, he had Reince Priebus, the Politico guy. He had a general, John Kelly. And now it seems as if he wants someone that could feasibly, literally be him, but in the position of chief of staff. I actually saw a piece, I can't remember where it was, talking about the fact that Nick Ayers actually looked like a young Donald Trump. And it was one of the reasons why he would want him as chief of staff. It seemed as if it was pretty disappointing to the president that Nick Ayers decided not to take the job, or they couldn't necessarily agree on a timeline for him to take the job.
Not just disappointing, I would say extremely embarrassing. When the President of the United States asks you to serve, you almost always serve. This is a huge honor. It should not be a difficult job to fill, and I think it's a sign of just how unpopular Trump's White House is and how extraordinary it is. He's not a normal president.
Yeah, I'm wondering who the interim chief of staff is going to be if John Kelly actually leaves before they appoint a new chief of staff. It actually might be the president himself, it seems, be his
well, why
chief
bother,
of staff.
right? Why bother to fill the position if you're not going to listen to that person?
All right, Mara Gay, Jason Johnson, thank you both. Coming up, everybody.